The defense is pretty well set. Two starters missing on defense, of course, from last year in Brown and Johnson. Were their spots pretty much set in regards to somebody coming in filling that spot, or there's still battles going on the defensive side?
Yeah, well, Aaron Hansford, has kind of stepped into that Buddy Johnson role, and that's actually a position group that Jimbo Fisher spoke about Friday that he's been pretty happy with. He kind of talked. It's a lot to replace a guy like Buddy Johnson, but Aaron Hansford's kind of stepped into that leadership role, and then behind him, there's a couple other guys that can also fill that second linebacker role of Andre White, Terrion Lee, Chris Russell, Adrian Cooper, and Antonio Doyle, just to name a few. And that's so they're going to have guys rotating in at that second spot, and I think they feel pretty good about that. On the defensive line, they've got Jaden Peavy and McKinley Jackson, I think, in the middle. Darius Jones is another guy that's seen a lot of snaps this year. And then even Shamar Turner's come right onto campus and had a really good fall camp. And I think you'll see him contribute as well this fall.
And, of course, Andrew, we started camp with Kenyon Green moving to left tackle as one of the best offensive linemen in the SEC in the country as well, with 4 spots somewhat up for grabs. Do those seem to be pretty much set, or are they still figuring things out up front?
I think that's a group where you've seen as much rotation as pretty much any group during the fall camp. I mean, trying to keep track of who's kind of got the inside route on that has been interesting to watch, because even guys like Ruben Fothery, who's a freshman and came in this summer, has already started to emerge as well this fall. So is Bryce Foster. And Jimbo Fisher actually talked about Bryce Foster on Friday and said, he's a guy he could see him contributing pretty early this year. But they have totally mixed and matched, and they're just trying to find a combination of 5 guys that they can go with. Luke Matthews is a guy that I think they really hope can contribute this year, and they're trying to keep him healthy as well. He's battled some injuries. Layden Robinson, Kinola Agunbiyi is another guy. Matthew Wyckoff is also taking snaps at center. So that's one thing. The center position has been interesting to watch, because you've had about 4 guys roll through there, and different guys in the 2 deep and all that. And they're really mixing and matching. And Jameer Johnson, of course, the grad transfer from Tennessee as well. And they're really mixing and matching and trying to find a group of 5 guys. But one thing is, even though they're inexperienced, Jimbo Fisher is actually really high on this group, and said the talent level of the group as a whole is pretty good. They just have to find 5 guys that they can go with and kind of build the chemistry.
Andrew, one of the unfortunate kind of approaches and mindsets, I think, most fan bases that root for quality teams, that root for the contending teams have, is that they look past a bunch of teams, and they're wanting to know. And then you've got the groups of fans from other fan bases that they're interested in let's say a Texas A&M is, can you win the West? Can you get to the playoffs? Can you beat Bama? And they're just looking at the Bama game, to a certain extent, the LSU game. And I'm trying to think, who are your out of division games? It's always South Carolina, and this year it is Mizzou. Yeah. So not necessarily something that the average college football fan is too interested in. And I just think this is unfortunate that a lot of people will be like, okay, let's get past Kent State and Colorado. Maybe the Colorado game draws a little bit of interest from some people because it's in an NFL stadium and it's on the road and it's just kind of different. But then New Mexico, then Arkansas, Mississippi State, then Alabama. And obviously everybody's wanting to know, can Texas A&M beat Alabama? And I just think it kind of drains some of the joy out of college football. So folks, I would just, this is just my own suggestion. Just, we get so little of college football. It's only 12 games. Just enjoy them as they come. Just let's the Kent State games come in, that for as good as Texas A&M is, and for as much as Kent State is a MAC opponent, and probably, I don't know, I haven't seen the line on the game. I'm going to guess it's like 25 points.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the game. Just enjoy the competition week to week against whatever the opponent is. And it's a fairly interesting one in Kent State. I don't know that you've had any kind of chance to look at Kent State, but they have a nice little program started there in the MAC.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting game to watch, and I think just given it's the first game, there's been countdowns on our board for quite a few weeks now, even just how many days, and so I think everybody's just ready for some semblance of football to be here. And you're right. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's a super challenging non-conference schedule. I think the Arkansas game is going to be interesting because Arkansas always plays them tough. And then I do think that Missouri game could be interesting because it comes right after Alabama, so it's kind of in an interesting time spot. And then the other one, I'd mentioned the back half of the schedule is kind of interesting because you've got Ole Miss too, and Ole Miss I think is going to really scare some people this year. They just score a ton of points, and that's going to put pressure on folks. And then you obviously close out the year with the Alabama game, with the LSU game, should I say? And I think just in terms of recruiting battles, that's going to be a huge game, just from a recruiting standpoint, and those two schools kind of battling each other and for bragging rights and all that. But yeah, I agree. I mean, the first 5 games of the year probably won't catch many people's attention when it comes to the A&M schedule. But Kent State is an interesting opponent to start out with.